Hey guys, it's Tasha. Welcome to my channel. So for today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how I cut my 4-year-old son's hair. I cut his hair about every 3 to 4 months just to keep it healthy and get rid of the split ends. I had to cut his hair anyways today, so I just thought I would show you guys how I do it. If anyone wants to take any tips or tricks of what I do, just so that you can do it yourself at home if you have to cut your kid's hair. This haircut's really basic, and you can also use it to cut either your little girl's hair, little boy's hair, depending how long their hair is. You can cut longer hair with this technique or shorter hair, it doesn't matter. Yeah, so if you want to watch how to do it or you want to learn how to do it, let's get started. So we're just going to start off by brushing the hair out just to get all the tangles out so that it's easier for us to do our cut today. We're going to start off by sectioning out the front sides of the hair. You're just going to start at the top of the head and do your section to just behind the ear and then clip those two sides out. And here I'm just showing you how long his hair is, and then you'll see the difference once we're finished. I'm just fixing my section here to make it a nice clean line and then clipping that back out of the way. Now for the back section, if I had a child that had quite thick hair, I would do it in sections like this. I would probably break it up into like 2 or 3 sections. But my son has pretty thin hair and most kids have thin hair, so usually I would just leave it all down and just do it all at once. Just cut it all at once. But I want to show you guys how to do it in sections just in case your child has thicker hair and you need to do it in sections. So take your first section, clipping all the rest of the hair up. So we're taking our first section now, making sure our hands are as close to the body as possible. With decent tension on the hair, you don't want too much or too little. And this first cut right here is going to be your guide for the rest of the haircut. So as you move on to your next section, you're going to be taking a little bit of hair that you just cut from your first cut, and you're going to add that to the next section that you're cutting, just so that you can see it as a guideline where to cut the hair. And you're going to do this the whole section for the back of the head here. Again, for your next section, you're going to take a little bit of hair that you previously cut and you're going to add it to the rest of the hair that you're cutting so you can see and follow it as a guideline so you know where to cut. I also just want to mention that you want to have to stay on top of keeping your child's posture straight and their head straight, and this usually takes a little bit of bribing for children this young, so whether you have to let them watch a movie, let them go on your phone, give them a snack. You can also get someone to sit in front of them and hold their head so it's easier to keep them straight as well. But however you do it, just make sure that you're keeping on top of this, and anytime you notice them move around, you fix them and correct them, and you might have to go back and do some adjustments on your haircut every time they move, just because it will make the haircut crooked. So now I'm just checking to make sure the haircut is even. You're going to want to take a little bit of hair from either side, bringing it to the center, making sure it's as even as possible. If it's not, just go back and trim up wherever is longer, and yeah. So now we're taking down the rest of the section, combing it down. Again, you're going to have a decent amount of tension as you hold the hair down. And now, because you have a guide underneath, you're going to take your comb or your scissors and you're going to flip up that hair. And when you flip that hair up, you're going to see where your guide is from the bottom section. So that's where you're going to cut your hair. Again, making sure they're sitting nice and still and straight so that you can get it as even as possible. So just take your comb and flip it up to see the section underneath if you're not sure where exactly to cut, and use that section underneath as your guideline. And like I said earlier, you're going to want to make sure your hand is as close to their body as possible. I usually have the back of my hand resting on their back. And once you finish that, we are going to make sure it's all even again, so taking a little bit from either side and different parts of the section and bringing it all to the center, making sure it's the same length, and if not, that's when you're going to go back and you're just going to take out any little corners or any little spots that are longer or uneven and just trim it as best as you can. And when you're cutting a child's hair that's this young, it is very hard to get it perfect, so don't be too hard on yourself. Once you've done that, you're going to get them to tilt their head down. Just tell them to look at their toes, and they're usually pretty good about that. And you're going to find either stray hairs or longer hairs underneath. That's what I call the underbelly, and you're just going to trim that off so that you have a nice clean haircut, and it makes a big difference. So I always do this for all of my cuts, not just kids' hair, so it's a good tip to learn. So once you do that, the back section is done, and we're going to move on to one of our side sections. It doesn't matter which one you do, just pick one, and we're going to start there. So for the side, if the child has thick hair, you would again do this, what I'm showing you right here, break it up into 2 or 3 sections. But because my son has really thin hair, especially on the sides, I'm just going to leave it all down and do this all at once, making sure they're sitting up nice and straight. And you're going to take a little bit of hair from the back section, and you're going to use that as your guide moving forward to the side section. So as you can see here, there's a little bit of hair from the back section, and I'm connecting that to the side section and going around his body. Again, I'm keeping my hands as close to his body as possible. I'm touching his shoulder here. And then just keep going back and checking to make sure that you've gotten all the corners and all the little edges, making sure that it's a smooth transition all the way around to the front. But again, if your child has thicker hair, you're going to do the same thing that we did in the back, clipping up the section and doing the first section, making your guideline, and then letting the rest of the section down, and then following the guideline to make a nice, clean, even cut. So now once that's done, you're going to tilt their head over again, and you're just going to comb it down and see if there's any stray hairs or longer hairs, and just clean that up to give it a nice fresh haircut. And just using a little bit of the hair from the back and a little bit of hair from your side, and using the back hair as your guideline as you go forward around the shoulder. Keeping your hand as close to the body as possible, making sure they're sitting upright and as straight as possible. So now I'm just going to be trimming the hair around his face. I didn't give him any face framing or anything like that. His hair just doesn't grow as fast, but I want to keep it long enough so that I can still tuck it behind his ear, so I'm just taking a very tiny bit off just to clean it up and keep it healthy. I'm just angling my fingers, as you can see, all the way down so that it's going to give a nice shape around his face here. And if you do want to learn how to do face framing, I have another hair cutting video where I show you how to do face framing, and I can link that video in the description box below. But yeah, so now you're just going to take the hair from the back and the sides, and you're going to pull it forward, making sure that it's the same length on both sides. And if one side's a little bit longer, then you can just trim a tiny bit off there just to even it up. As you can see here, one side was a little bit longer, so I'm just taking a little bit off to even it up, and then we're good. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this little tutorial on how to cut your child's hair, and I hope you learned at least a thing or two so that now you can go ahead and cut your child's hair at home. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!